Welcome to War of the Weirds, a war between friends where the strength is the discovery, the greater chance of victory. It has been one full year of intense warfare between Mystic and Broomy. Each faction felt it was time to take stock and chronicle the events they brought forth in battle in this special episode. The history of our weird world.
Hello and welcome to War of the Weirds. I'm Broomy.
And I'm Mystic.
And we're here to do the year-end special, where we go over the topics we've covered in a chronological order and see the history of our weird world as told through the stories we've discovered over this topic.
Yeah, the worldwide weird.
Yeah, we that is the canon, what we think the www stands for in URLs.
Yeah.
But how are you doing? This is
I'm
coming
good.
out New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. I was just thinking about New Year's Eve, thinking about how many eves you got. You got New Year's Eve, you got Christmas Eve, you got All Hallows Eve, you got Summer's Eve, you got
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. You got Eve of Destruction.
Eevee, the Pokemon.
Eevee, yeah.
That's it.
Eevee from V from Vendetta.
Is that?
That's Natalie Portman's character.
Oh, okay. I thought the character was just V.
No, that's V, but then Natalie Portman's character is Eevee. Because then he's like, Eevee, how, I don't know, he says like how, like what a coincidence or how fortuitous or so, I don't know. Or he's like, of course it is or something. I don't know. Something like, oh, this is destiny, basically. Is his,
sure.
The point of his, like, I don't know what the script words were, but the message was, this is destiny.
This is destiny.
I think that's
coincidences don't happen. Destiny is what this is.
I think that's a fun way, like, instead of paraphrasing things, is just stating like the meaning. Because like, yeah, that's something I find myself doing a lot. I'm like, I don't really know how he said it, but the point was blah blah blah. So,
sure, yeah.
That's a new thing I'm doing, but I think I'm gonna.
No,
make...
I got an example for you.
Oh, do it. Well, hold on. Don't tell me what it is. Hold on, wait. Because here's my proposal, and then I'll get you to do this. I'll be the first player of this game. The game idea is for people to go around the room, and like maybe you could just like search famous movie quotes or whatever, and then or book quote, whatever, famous quotes, and then you just take that, you make it the message. You say the message, and people have to guess what the quote is. Does that make sense?
Yes. I was going to basically tell you in advance because it's too vague of a quote.
Try me.
I already told you the name of it.
But I didn't hear it. I was like,
okay.
Yeah. Our listeners might have heard it, because if your mic is louder than mine, then they may have heard it. But if not, then they didn't.
Goodbye, young child.
I have no idea.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah, this is exactly what I want. I think this would be a very fun game. I think I just invented a game, and you can do it at your party.
Which you shouldn't have. Don't have a party.
Don't have a party, but when you can have COVID, when you can have a party, or if you have a Zoom thing where you can use like a fishbowl drawing thing, everyone can write. Everyone goes around the room and writes like a quote, like a famous quote, or song title or whatever.
Play it over Skype or Zoom or Discord.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Play it socially. Don't even social distant. Like, be in separate houses. Don't even be just 6 feet apart. Be more than the minimum.
Yeah.
And so write it on a card or type it out, however, and then you you shuffle it up, or put in the random generator thing, and someone draws it, and then they create the literal or the spirit of the message, what they're trying to say, and then I think it's a fun game.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, it might be very hard for certain ones, so maybe introduce hints at some point.
Yeah. It could probably be like you could have I don't know, make a GoFundMe, and people can like suggest quotes and things, and then compile it and then print it on cards, and it could be an official thing. But then people can make their own little homebrew versions,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very fun.
Here's another one for you before we start. We're about to start, people. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But
this is just going to be 2 hours of us playing this game.
I mean, I'd be down. It's a fun game.
It is. I like it.
Live or die is what I'm asking. I don't know, something about it just makes me think of like the do you feel lucky? That is that is not it, but okay. I get where you got that. Yeah.
I think that one could have been like, am I going to shoot you or not? Lucky? All right, what was yours?
It is to be or not to be. That is the question.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
So
that's fun. Hey, you know what? New suggestion for email. We've got our email stuff that we'll do at the end of the episode, but you could email us the quotes and your suggestions, maybe. And I don't know, that could be a thing if they're good and funny.
Sure. Yeah. If you want to send in a quote you want us to play this game with, then go ahead. We'll
either the quote you want us to try to do it, or if you have a quote and a literal translation, or if you have the translation and we have to guess the quote. That's getting real interactive.
That'll be very infuriating.
That'll be a very back and forth. Yeah.
If we just can't get it, and then people just listen to us not get the answer.
Yeah.
And
that's the most infuriating thing, when like you're listening to a podcast and people are like, what was that guy? Who did that? Or what's that? And they're like trying to get it or remember something, and the thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
Good thing we know everything.
Let's get into... Yeah, we really know a lot, and we're about to go through a lot of stuff that we do know. I've compiled a timeline of the history of the world. It's like if aliens came to Earth and the only thing left from humanity was the War of the Weirds podcast. This is what they think history would be.
Yeah.
So the first thing that happens in the history of our weird world is in 8th century BC, Homer, the ancient Greek author, writes the Odyssey, which is a famous epic poem, which is more of just a story. I don't know why they call them epic poems, but...
Dude, it's epic.
Yeah. Did they just call anything that, like, everything written down was basically a poem to them? Who knows? But that's the first thing.
Is there epic prose? Is that a thing that exists?
I mean,
epic prose?
There's epic games.
True.
That's what I know. But yeah, first thing that happens. Second thing that happens is in the 7th century. Ancient Romans are reportedly using urine to whiten their teeth.
Oh, yeah.
One of the earlier recorded instances of urine therapy. Which I don't quite understand where they got that from, really. I understand that urine has some sort of, like... You could use it to wash off something if, like, you sprayed it on something that was dirty. The dirt would come off. That's the best.
That's just
guess
like
I
water.
have.
They just like, you can rinse it.
Yeah.
You're like, we don't want to waste
Yeah.
precious. We're not gonna. What an insult! If water is scarce, and you just swish it around and spit it. I don't know. That's why I always swallow my mouthwash.
That's why I always swallow my piss. But yeah. So we're going from, this is 8th century BC, by the way, and then 7th century, BC, and then we go all the way up to like nothing happens in the world until 1772.
That is historically accurate.
Nothing
worth mentioning. I mean, there's a new calendar system at some point, but there's nothing weird happened.
No. A man named Terrar.
Oh, yeah. Born. Yeah.
And this is the only entry I have for him. We referred to him in the title of the episode as Forever Hungry Man.
Yeah.
Was there any, like, core nuggets that you wanted to bring up about Terrar to explain?
Yeah. He ate a bunch of stuff, and, you know, that's, like, the understatement of the year. But one thing that is brought up is that he, potentially ate a baby in the hospital because he was so hungry. So.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he ate a lot of stuff, you know, pounds and pounds of meat, and then at one point supposedly ate a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not you know, morally not great, but interesting.
I mean, like, you know, there's the whole, would you steal a piece of, like, a loaf of bread to feed your family? Like, would you eat a baby to feed yourself? I think it's, you know, pretty much Les Mis could have happened with Terrar. I mean, it was already French, so
yeah.
Jean Valjean had just eaten a baby instead.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the officer's his baby. I don't know. That would have been real dark. It's already a dark movie. That's fine.
I didn't watch it because I don't want to.
Or a musical or book. Sorry, I'm talking about it as a movie. Like, that's the most recent iteration. Like, obviously, book, musical, all this stuff. But I'm not just, you know, whatever.
I mean, yeah, people know it mostly as a movie these days,
right? Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, 1772, Terrar is born. He eats a bunch of stuff, including. Also, he ate a kitten or a cat, right?
Yeah. And he would, like, eat things whole. He would, like, swallow whole things, yeah.
Yeah. Just a very strange cartoon character, but in real life, so it's... Yeah. So it's horrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah. 1794, Robert Liston is born.
Mm-hmm.
A man who's later known as the fastest knife into the West End.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was a surgeon who prided himself on the speed of his surgeries, right?
Right. Yeah, he was you know, surgeons back then, things were just there's no telling what happens. You know, this was like pre morphine. No, what's the anesthesia, right? This was just, you get drunk.
Sure,
They just like, here, drink this whiskey and bite this block.
Yeah, he introduced some special anesthetic thing, I think.
Yes.
But,
yeah. He introduced he was the antithesis of cleanliness. Yeah, because there were people who were like, maybe we should try to be clean in how we do stuff, and then he's like, no, we're supposed to be covered in blood. The stiffer the coat is, the prouder the busy surgeon.
Yeah, I mean, it's Sonic the Hedgehog, but a surgeon.
Yeah.
Gotta go fast.
Yeah.
And gotta cut off this guy's leg. Oops, I accidentally cut off his testicles, I think is one of the, one of the stories.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing.
So his anesthesia was introduced in 1846, and he was born in 1794. So,
yeah.
But yeah, but like pain was a big thing, you know, not having anesthesia. So he was like, well, I'll be fast to get it over with. Like, you don't want me sawing into your leg bone for an hour. Like, I just gotta slice it, real quick.
Yeah.
And then and so he sliced through an arm in 28 seconds, a leg in 2.5 minutes, testicle on accident.
Yeah,
and
we've all been there.
And then his crowning achievement was I could be misspeaking here. Is he the one that has the 300% fatality?
I'm unsure if that was him or another person that I did not put on this list because it was like a collateral damage.
I was going to say that could have been a collateral damage or bite-sized battle thing. But okay, so we won't. But yeah, no, he was 6'2". This is a quote. He sprung across blood-stained boards upon his swooning, sweating, strapped-down patient like a duelist, calling, "Time me, gentlemen, time me!" And then did these surgeries like in front of, you know how like old-timey doctor stuff, they used to just like have like an audience in like a theater, like for medical students. So yeah, he'd do that, and then just anyways, he's
he's again morally gray man,
right. Like
trying to do the right thing but making sure he does it the fastest,
or trying to be the fastest and disguising it as doing the right thing.
Exactly. Sure,
who can say
that works as well. But moving on from the fastest knife in the West End, it's 1858.
Mm-hmm.
A man named William Gladstone notices that in the Odyssey and all other ancient Greek writings he looked at, nothing was described as blue, leading to more and more research, leading to a very well-supported theory that the word and possibly even the color blue itself did not exist in ancient times.
Yeah.
It's hard to like actually explain, because like hearing that, it's like, what, like if you didn't hear the episode,
right?
It's like, I don't believe that.
The purpose
when
of
you
this,
hear
the purpose of this episode here is clickbait. So now you're like, what the heck? Blue didn't exist? I gotta go listen to this. So go do that. No, blue. Yeah. It's very hard to describe, but you did it. It was a great topic that you had, and you even showed. Well, you talked about a color wheel, which is like different, you know, and people who had never learned about blue as a distinct color because, it like couldn't identify it, right?
They couldn't pick out blue from a series of green squares.
Yeah. But it's
and one blue square.
It sort of goes. I think like the best thing that I can think of as a way of explaining that now, like in this moment, is thinking like, you do, like there is a spectrum of light. The colors are, it is a spectrum, and so you can have something very close to the edges on each side, and separately, you're like, oh, this one is, I don't know the colors. There's orange and blue and yellow, but. Just think of...
I don't know the color? You don't know colors?
I don't know the order in the rainbow,
Oh, okay.
There's the acronym.
Sure.
But whatever. Anyways, but if you take... you can take, like, look at where those blur together, and you're like, okay, this is distinctly this color on the right side. But you can put where that color blurs with on the left side, and they will look completely different, even though you would think of them as the same color. So I think that goes the blue-green. They didn't learn to recognize, like, the difference in the spectrum.
Yeah, the eye like technically saw it,
right?
But the brain did not process it,
which is crazy to think. I'm gonna lose my mind again going over this. So that blew my mind because I was like, "What are we not seeing?" Like, there's
you can listen to Mystic really freaking out in
an
that
existential
episode.
Crisis in that,
But yeah, it also leads to other implications about the very nature of our reality.
Right.
But anyway, so that happened in 1858.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of the research about it, but William Gladstone discovering like nothing is blue.
The
in
impetus
these texts.
for their research into that.
Yeah. 1859, a homeless man named Joshua Norton sends out a letter decreeing himself Emperor of the United States.
Ah, I forgot about Emperor Norton. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was published in a newspaper as a joke and led to him becoming a local legend.
Yeah.
Who's like, he had delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
And basically everybody was like, yeah,
totally.
Him.
People kind of like started like humoring him as a joke or out of pity. You know, they're like, yeah, man, yeah, you're great. You know, just kind of egging him on. But, or like I said, you know, out of pity. But either way, he like, really it was like self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, he didn't become emperor, but like people did grow to respect him, and he would get like free services and stuff in town, like free meals or, you know, donations and stuff, or people would accept his currency that he made up. And so like, I mean, I don't know if that fed his delusion.
I forgot about the currency.
Yeah. One of the more noteworthy things, I actually can't find that one in my notes. It might be on my other computer. I switched desktops halfway through recording, or switched computers. But the one thing I do recall that was especially entertaining was that he wrote to Congress and like tried to get the army to overthrow Congress, like storm the Capitol and all this stuff. And called for them, like their forceful removal from power.
Weird they didn't do that.
Yeah, but one of his big things is that he forbade people from using the term Frisco to describe people or to describe San Francisco, and he was very much against that. One that'd be punishable by law.
I think a large portion of San Franciscans feel that way.
Yeah, and that's where my fiance has resided the past 10 years. And so I call it Frisco all the time, and she gets legitimately mad at me.
Nice.
Yeah. I the first time I said it, like the look that she shot me, I really thought I had said something like politically incorrect. Like I was like, is there like a history of this, or this is like a slur or something? Because she was very offended. I really I was like, oh God, I'm going to say this on the show. Can I not say this? Like, anyways, yeah.
I already recorded myself just
saying it over and over, and here I am again. Like, no. Yeah, so I think that's fun to say it. And annoy her.
Of course. You're betrothed.
Yeah.
Who else would you annoy?
Right, yeah. I annoy her on accident all the time. It's nice to know that I can do it on purpose.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's Joshua Norton, aka Emperor Norton.
Yeah.
1877, Karl Tanzler is born.
Count von Kozel.
I have a few entries for him. So we'll fill in the details on Karl Tanzler later.
Mm-hmm. But he was born.
He was born.
Most people are. That I've found. Most people I know, at least.
1887. A group of anti-abolitionist men, and abolition being the banning of alcohol.
Yeah.
So people who are against the idea of banning alcohol in Argonia, Kansas, underhandedly put a local abolitionist activist, Susanna M. Salter, on the ballot for mayor.
Yeah.
And without her knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't plan on running for mayor. They just got her name on the ballot in this small town in order to humiliate local abolitionist groups with her losing. But the rest of the town banded together and elected her, and she was the first woman mayor in the history of the United States.
Yeah, that is an incredible case of karma.
Yeah, it's because their whole thing is they weren't a fan. Well, first of all, they weren't a fan of women.
Right? Right? Aren't they the worst? No, I'm just kidding.
Because, the idea is, nobody's ever elected a woman, so it's just going to be a joke. And then basically everything that could go wrong with their plan did, because, the local Republicans, were the local people that were like, both parties were like, this is bullshit. She shouldn't be on here, but they shouldn't have put her on here. So to punish them, we need to rally the town for her, basically.
Yeah.
So
quick little. Yeah. I was gonna make a joke. Because like so there's like the trope of like you jokingly nominate someone to be like prom king or queen to like make fun of them and humiliate them. I don't really get how that works. I mean I know like in like as it plays out it is humiliating, but like when you just read it or hear that, it's like what but anyways, but I was gonna make a joke about like, oh yeah, she was the inspiration for this movie, but I couldn't remember what movie I was thinking of because there's just like a ton of them. Like that's just a thing. And so I was Googling it, and then one of the top search results says, "What is it like to be prom king or queen?" And I was like, "Oh, this is sad. I don't want to read. Like this is just. I just feel like I don't."
Oh, was that like an auto?
No, when I type in like prom.
So, there was an audio recording mishap there, so if something was weird, that's why. Anyway, so that is the story of Susanna M. Salter. And that same year, though, in 1887, an acclaimed French detective named Robert Ledru solved the murder of a man on the beach. The thing about it, though, is it was he himself that committed the murder. He was sleepwalking.
And you're thinking, how is that a solve? You committed the murder.
Yeah.
That's not impressive. But
he didn't know that he had done it because he was sleepwalking. And he had shot the man on the beach before returning to his hotel room. And it wasn't a cover story because he could have gotten away with it entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd have been very easy if you're leading the investigation to be like, unsolvable. This guy was a genius. What a mastermind. And just really play that up,
Yeah.
No, but no, it was this. I know I said this already, but I still mean it. We had audio problems, but I want to reiterate on record that this was one of my favorite topic that we did this year, and that you presented, and even like I said, your presentation of it was great because you presented it as the detective narrative. Like he's called to the city, he goes out and whatever, he solves it, and then the big reveal happen, and like your presentation of it was great. Felt like I was in like a immersive detective novel movie show thing.
Yeah, that's like every conversation with me. It's like being in an immersive detective novel movie show thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Is that an award category? Immersive detective.
The award for best immersive detective novel movie show thing goes to Garfield.
Broomy.
Oh, sorry.
Garfield.
Anyway, so yeah, that's that story. That's a really good story. You should take a listen to the actual full story because it's super interesting, and like how they tested him. Like, is he lying? Does he sleepwalk? That type of thing.
Right.
And how he himself solved it because it was not obvious to him immediately that it was him.
Yeah. Can you imagine discovering that? Like, we didn't even talk about that in the episode, but like, can you imagine like when you realize it dawns on you that you did this and you were completely unaware? Like that, what a heart-wrenching feeling.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I can't.
There is a part of the story where he knows that he had done it. He realized it, and he goes back to his hotel room. He doesn't tell anybody immediately, but then the very next morning he goes.
You got to make sense of it.
Yeah, he's like,
you gotta...
he didn't realize, like, he was like, is this true? Because this seems crazy. Right. But yeah, it was true. Anyway.
And still crazy.
It's still crazy.
Yeah. But
one of my favorite stories that you told was the 1904 Olympic Marathon. Yes.
Yeah. This was probably my favorite to present. I got stressed out when I was writing this because it's so, like, there's so much that happens. Like, I typically, I think like what something I don't know, an observation. This may not be correct. It could just be perception, but I think typically I gravitate more towards like biographical topics, like somebody who like had a weird life or did weird, and while you have some of those and I have weird event things, I think you too. When I think of your topics, I do think of more like weird events and things that have happened. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I'm not going to say any examples because we'll get to them, but and I'm not saying that we don't like that. We're still diverse in our topics, but this was like one of the first ones I think. Well, that I was just like, there's so much. Where do I even start with this? Like, it's easy for me to be like, all right, birth, weird event, death, legacy. But like this, I was just like, so much happened in this. So yeah, you one guy, the car. Yeah, you were saying that.
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned that in this re-recording that a man got into a car.
No, yeah.
And like, it's a marathon, and a guy gets into a car and gets out right before the finish line.
Yeah.
So
and was considered the winner for a while. They had to contest it, but he was declared the winner to begin with.
Yeah.
Like less than half of the people that started finished. There was no route. It was just a country road, dirt, gravel roads. But like, and so a bunch of weird stuff happened, but basically one of the root causes for all the weird stuff is that the organizer of the event, James Sullivan, just was like, use this. He's like, let's just conduct an experiment. And so he withheld water to see how dehydration would affect the runners. Like, there were only 2 places to get water, and they were miles apart. And then you have to finish the water is accessible 6 miles in, and then 12 miles in, and then from 12 to 26, no water. And this is when they're like, this is their big competition when people are supposed to be like performing at their best, and who's like, let's make them perform at their worst. So that was crazy. People, like, one guy had like a ruptured esophagus because his throat was coated with dust from people running and like all the vehicles driving to keep up with them and like stirring up debris. Like stomach lining, like ruptured and esophagus. One guy ran barefoot. One guy was chased off course by wild dogs. There were like people, like, there's no blocked off route, so people were running. Like, there were pedestrians, just people out and about.
Yeah.
Wagons,
how about
trains.
It's just like, how about like, instead of conducting an experiment, you build a route for the marathon?
Right. Yeah. And then the one guy I always think of, it was a mailman from Cuba who raised money to get here or get to the event by just like running the length of Cuba. Cause he like, and he gambled, lost all his money, and like had to hitchhike and then ran in a suit, dress pants and like buttoned up shirt because he didn't have any money. Just so many weird things happened.
But yeah, it's a crazy story. Listen to the full episode. Yeah, a lot happens.
Yeah. So much.
You just said a lot, and there's still
I just said a lot, and there's still so much that happens. Yeah, I think this was my longest notes that I typed out too. This is 3 pages, single space, 11.5.
Yeah.
Of notes for this episode. So it's crazy.
Yeah. So that's 1904 that happens in. In 1910, Soviet biologist Ilya Ivanovich Ivanov suggested creating a human-ape hybrid to the World Congress of Zoologists.
Yeah. The Human Z Experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did that generally entail?
Well, it was a failure, but also, legacy. Like, it's part of my formula: birth, event, death, legacy. So he created the insemination technology that we use today. There's like obviously like materials and stuff have been improved, but like the technology and of artificial insemination, it was devised by him, and he did it. He wasn't always crazy, like crazy aspirational. He was started with just like he wanted to make more durable farm animals that produced more and were hardier for winter and stuff like that. So it's like started off like agriculturally sound stuff, and then started like presenting spliced ape testicles. He worked with another doctor that would like graft these ape testicles into rich old men to combat erectile dysfunction. And then from there, just like, let's see if we can inseminate women with ape semen or human semen into female apes, and and
yeah, it's just a slow build. And
then it's a lot.
There's quite the escalation when you're putting testicles into guys, but yeah.
I mean, just weird. I don't know what all of his stuff was very centered around sex and reproductive organs. And I don't know what
I'm sure that's a focus for some scientists, but but yeah, it's odd.
But overall, he's created artificial insemination, so people that would not be able to have children otherwise or been able to have babies, and so that's good. But he also did some.
Was that the intent?
Well, I mean, he did that he did it because he wanted to do mass insemination, like mass fertilization, instead of like having to like get the two horses or cows or whatever he's working with to produce. He just like, what if there's a way to just impregnate all of them very efficiently? And then he's like, I mean, I guess you could use it with people. I don't care, but let's try to. What about apes and people? And the other doctor's like, no, we'll just stop, go back up to just people. Like that was a good enough idea. You don't need to keep going. Like
yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah. So 1911. After a series of botched robberies, a man named Elmer McCurdy is shot and killed by authorities. That's skipping a lot of a story that I tell.
That's a very understated story.
But yeah. And then the very next year, 1912, after no one picked up the body, the Undertaker propped up Elmer McCurdy's body and had him as an attraction for customers to pay to see.
I mean, that is the next logical step. When you have a body that no one is claiming, everyone who's listening, for all those bodies you have lying around your home that you don't know what to do with,
God, I just have so many.
I know. Some skeletons in the closet. Preferably, you want to work with them before they're skeletons, though. So before they decompose.
If you got skeletons, just bury those things.
We'll get into that though, but
sure. 1915. That's 3 years later. Two carnival promoters pretend to be family members of Elmer McCurdy to take his body and then show it as a tourist attraction themselves.
Yeah.
So for 3 years, though, he was just in that mortuary or whatever, being showed off by that Undertaker. I mean, I gotta say, that Undertaker's fucked up.
I mean, like, who has come into the Undertaker and is impressed by this portfolio edition? Who is just like crying, like, my husband? Oh, you did some beautiful things with this guy. Wow. I mean, like,
hey,
did that really? How did that work for business?
I don't know. Apparently it did. Apparently it was making money.
For $10, I'll preserve your husband, But for $20, I'll prop him up with old Elmer here for a stage scene for the viewing or for the wake.
Yeah. So yeah, that's more to come with Elmer later.
Yeah.
But
real quick, I know you're moving through these, and I'm derailing you, but I am curious. I was talking about. So here, the origin of this thought was a conversation I had the other day about honor amongst thieves or not, or there's no honor. So like, if you steal from a thief, is that like a faux pas, or is that impressive? Or is it like, once you steal something, if someone steals it from you, like that, I mean, that's, you have to respect that they like, you can't be mad about it, sort of thing, you know, because like you stole it to begin with. So like, you know, what's the policy?
I would say it's not like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily impressive,
right?
But if you are the original thief, perhaps it would be a little, dumb to be like, how dare they?
Right. Yeah. So similarly, that was the original thought. Now I'm thinking about these two guys from the carnival. So the Undertaker did this, and that was, you know, pretty bad. But then if like the people that acquire the body after that, you're like, well, that sounds shitty. But then at the same time, you're like, well, you screwed over the first guy who was already doing wrong. So is it like a little bit better?
I mean,
morally
no.
gray.
No, it isn't better. It isn't, because it's a shit. Like, it's a total
it's all shitty
dog shit thing to do.
Yeah.
So I think even a slight good deed, maybe you could call it that, which isn't. It's just fucking over an asshole, which isn't particularly good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was 1915 that the carnival promoters grabbed Elmer McCurdy's body. In 1920s, in general, the 20s,
Roaring 20s.
A British naturologist, John W. Armstrong, popularizes urine therapy as a cure-all style alternative medicine in the Western world.
Yeah.
So as you can see, it's the general idea of urine being like some like medicine has been around for a long time, but this guy in the 20s popularized it.
And this might be interfering with the timeline. Do you have more about this later in the timeline?
No.
Okay,
no, I don't.
Because I want to say, it's still practiced today in like what would be considered like developed countries, or I know the names are changing, but like
first
like
world,
Western culture,
whatever.
First world, developed countries, whatever term, people still do urine therapy. Okay.
Yeah, you can watch YouTube videos of people casually discussing it.
There are playlists of
like,
it.
Real.
There are like, I'm not. You know, you can listen to it. You listen to the episode. I won't because they're talking about people who practice it today. Talked about like people who write books about it. I'm looking now. I can't find it in this particular document, but I feel like I mentioned a celebrity. Yes, I do. There's a sports. I'm not gonna spill all my, but there are major political leaders and athletes, and a movie star that all drink their urine or use it for So listen to the episode. Super
why
weird.
wouldn't
It's
they?
called urophagia. Is the urine drinking stuff.
Yeah. I think I read the I just read briefly about this to get the basic details on it.
Our search histories have got to be real weird.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But that guy, John W. Armstrong, his book was called The Water of Life, I think. And I just find that funny. That he refers to piss as the water of life.
You know what the water of life is? Really?
No.
Water.
Oh, yeah, that makes a little sense.
Yeah.
Disagree.
Yeah.
I think it's piss, but yeah.
Well, real quick, this week does not matter how I learned this information, but I did learn that there is significant overlap. There's the Venn diagram. There's significant overlap between pet play fetish. You know what that is? Where like
Sure,
you have a relationship where like one person is an animal or a pet or something, and the other person is like the owner or trainer or whatever. There's an overlap between that I don't want to say fetish or kink but that
I mean, whatever you want
that
to call
activity
it, sure.
and water sports, because people use puppy pads and litter boxes as part of that. So
sure, and I imagine they. The dog lifts their leg and pees.
Yeah,
or
and then the
whatever.
person has to clean out the litter box behind them. As that's part of the. Anyways, learned that this week. Doesn't matter why or how, but that's something interesting.
Doesn't matter why.
I think I made an agreement that I wouldn't talk about urine or something for the next couple episodes.
I mean, you broke that agreement the next episode.
That's debatable.
So it was already broken.
That's debatable.
It's
but this is
not debatable.
now, that is lifted. So here it is. Urine news.
Here you go. Yeah, tune in for Mystic's weekly poop and pissy hour. But yeah, so that's the P aspect there. But also in the mid-20s, mid-20s is when the humanity experiments themselves really kick off.
Yes.
Just like he brought it up back then in 1910, but in the mid-20s is when it really started happening. Also in the mid-20s, 1926, Fidel Castro is born. And this is the whole entry for the Castro thing. So while he later became a communist dictator, the more notable thing
I think
is that he used his power to pursue his obsession with dairy at every opportunity.
Yes. He man, this was
I love this topic.
I love this topic.
Too.
This topic is especially close to my heart. Like, I know that I said my two favorite topics were your detective Ledru and then the 1904 Olympics, but this one was very fun for me because of my love for dairy, and I was like, I get it. Like, this is all reasonable stuff, reasonable links to go to. But basically Castro was just like, milk will be Cuba's legacy. And then, so but I think it's so, there's just, it's crazy. Like, he put up a big sign, about the cow. He had the cow that's, Ubre Blanca, the white udder, who he called our great champion. Like, our great champion, like Cuba's champion was this cow, that could produce 30 gallons of milk a day. Anyways, and he wanted to like do some little bit of experimentation with finding a dairy cow. Two favorite things about this story were, one, everybody knows Castro, and it's so learning that there's this whole other thing that like goes unrecognized was so interesting to me. Because I had no idea. But anyways, and then the second thing is that a legitimate goal he had was for every household to have a miniature cow to be able to access fresh, great quality milk whenever they wanted it. That was one of his goals for the country. So anyways,
why not? Mini cows for all. That's
I know,
my
just
campaign promise.
That was anyways. Listen to that. That was I love milk. I actually was thinking today I haven't had milk in a while. So,
you're going off.
I know. And then I was talking to someone the other day, and he told me, he's like, yeah, I did like a couple of years without dairy, and now I'm lactose intolerant. And I was like, it's been like 2 weeks. Do you think I'm I should drink some milk? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. No,
he just
milk was at one point very important to you, but since you went through that journey with Fidel Castro, maybe you got it all out.
I just realized that my love and like what I will do for milk could not ever hold a candle to what he did for the great legacy of milk.
So yeah, that's Castro's dairy love. That happened. He was born in 1926. A lot of this happened, like in the 60s or whatever,
Right.
But that's the entry for him. And in 1930, Ilya Ivanovich is arrested and exiled.
Yeah. He had a rough go of things.
And that was for, like, the experiments went too far? Was that the case? Or...
So, I'll pull us back up here. He was exiled, You said 26?
It was 1930.
30. Okay, I'm going back through. Yeah, he was exiled to Kazakhstan. After receiving backlash from the scientific community, because he tried to start over with like limited funding after his experiment was scrapped the first time, and he monkeys kept getting sick, or apes, sorry, and then his last orangutan died, tried to start over, and then lost all his funding and academic standing and respect, and so he was arrested for ethical violations, exiled to Kazakhstan, worked for the Kazakh Veterinary Zoologist Institute, and then, do we have one last entry for him?
No. That's it.
2 years after this, died from a stroke.
Oof.
Yeah. And then, tune in. There's a fun fact about a famous psychologist at the end of the episode, so listen for that.
Yeah. So that happened in 1930, the arrest and exiling.
Right,
In 1932, the Australian government sent out military personnel to essentially go to war with emus on behalf of farmers whose crops were being ruined by the emus. The press called it the Emu War. Yeah.
I can't imagine what that's, as a former emu myself, I was really into My Chemical Romance and Bright Eyes, and I can't imagine the government declaring war. I can't imagine what emos were doing in the fields either.
In the 30s,
with crops,
they didn't even have MCR back then.
Yeah, I know. Like, it was the Ramones were credited for like punk, and then emu stuff evolved out of that. So. Yeah, this is...
Ramones didn't even exist yet.
It's because they were almost eradicated by the government in Australia.
Yeah, it's really fucked up what they did to all their musicians there. But anyway, they went to war with emus, the bird.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is embarrassing.
But yeah, the Australian government essentially lost the war against emus.
That's funny.
But yeah, the story kind of really focuses on like the guy in charge of eradicating these emus and the mishaps and misadventures that he went on.
And military artillery.
That's a fun episode. Check that out. 1932.
Military artillery. I don't know.
I know vaguely of the words that you're trying to say, but I couldn't tell you. Military? Militarily?
I'm trying to make it into one word. Trying to make military artillery.
I mean, that's what it would be called. Military artillery.
But I want a fun name for it.
Well, try harder. So, that's 1932. 1933, falsely imprisoned Japanese man Yoshi Shiratori escapes from prison only to be recaptured days later, and then sentenced to life in prison for the escape attempt.
Right. Yeah.
There's more entries for him.
That's yeah.
So yeah, but that's just right there. That part that sucks.
Yeah.
You're falsely imprisoned, and then
yeah. You're like, I'm gonna escape because this isn't right, and then you're like, well, now you escaped prison, which is wrong. So we're gonna sentence you.
That seems harsh for the escape, like trying to escape prison.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So 1933.
But it was a creative escape. So listen to the episode.
Yeah.
A
creative escape.
His means of escape.
Yeah. So 1933. Also, Karl Tanzler, who now largely goes by Count von Cosel.
Mm-hmm.
That is the year in which his wife died. He steals her body.
Right. In his mind, his wife.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it was a patient that he had that was like a young girl, like a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
21. She was 21, and when they met, she died, but he was obsessed with her. So when she died, he stole her body.
Yeah,
and it was
pretty cool.
Show of love.
Love at first dead body.
Yeah.
So same year though, 1933, an alcoholic man in New York City named Michael Malloy gets free drinks from a speakeasy where the bartender and his friends consistently try to murder him and make it look like an accident while giving him free drinks. Right. And after a month, they succeeded.
Yeah. His friends tried to, or his quote-unquote friends, kill him various ways. Alcohol poisoning, regular poisoning, running him over with a car, right? Just different things. Antifreeze, all just different stuff. And then every day he would show back up and be like, "You still give me free drinks?" Show back up at the bar. They were called the Murder Trust. It was the three that tried to kill him.
Did they call themselves that, or was that?
I think the newspaper called them. Yeah.
Because if you called yourself that, it was lame.
Yeah,
that's a lame thing to call. Like, we are the Murder Trust.
The Murder Trust.
We're gonna get that Michael Malloy.
The Murder Trust boys. I don't know.
I mean, you add boys at the end as well. It doesn't help that much.
Yeah.
So that was 1933. 1940, Count von Kosel's caught, having lived with his quote-unquote wife's dead body this time.
All this time.
That's 7 years.
7 years with a corpse. That he slept with her in his bed every night. He would use wires to hold the bones together. Plaster of Paris for the damaged skin and tissue. Stuffed her. That's a euphemism and being literal.
Yes.
With to keep her body not just like skin from shrinking down to the bone. Kept her, her hair, made the wig out of her hair. So that was pretty easy to do. Just slept with this corpse he had stolen for 7 years.
Yeah. It's a very strange man up to this point as well.
Also hallucinated that she would talk to him and stuff. So
yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah,
pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and then he had a wife, but he abandoned her to live with this corpse. So And then
why wouldn't you?
2 years later, or sorry, not even. He went back to work after he was caught. And he confessed. But they can listen to the episode to figure out how that was able to happen. That he was off the hook. It's interesting.
I don't even remember.
You can go back and listen. No.
Okay. So that same year that he was caught, a man named Jack Churchill, aka Mad Jack Churchill, served in the British Army in World War II, and he regularly used bagpipes, a Scottish broadsword, and a longbow in battle.
Yeah.
Which is a little late for those.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. They've got machine guns at this time, and bomber planes and stuff like that. And he's just like, give me a sword and my bow, and then play the bagpipes, throwing grenades around. Just.
This is the entry for him, by the way.
Okay, so he saved his company from being trapped. He fought them off with machine guns and his bow. Fought the German army off. He saved. I don't know where I don't remember exactly, but he led an attack with a sword and longbow, and he ended up taking 42 German prisoners. It was just him and a corporal that was with him. Ended up taking 42 German soldiers prisoner, not just German civilians. They were German soldiers that he and one other person took prisoner, and he was just armed with his bagpipe and a broadsword.
I mean, bagpipes really do intimidate.
Yeah,
so,
and he did this all with stealth, so I don't know how the bagpipes played in that. But yeah, he had a crazy life just in general. Demolition expert, crashed his motorcycle after driving over 1,000 miles, crashed it into a water buffalo. He really loved war. He was in a movie. He's in movies. And then he said that he wished the war had gone on for another 10 years, so they could have kept fighting because he was
having a ball.
Yeah. Crazy guy.
Yeah, wild. Just one of those stories that's like, wow, that's a manly man.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yeah.
It's it's just one of those stories.
It's like if Big Fish was like a starred Bruce Willis. This would have been his life story,
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy story. Check it out.
Yeah, all the people.
By the way, check it out. Check out all the stories. Same. I'm sorry if it's annoying that we keep saying that, but it's just we can't tell the whole story in this episode because we have to tell 40 to 50 of them in a row. So, 1942, Roy Sullivan, a park ranger in Virginia, is struck by lightning while working at the park.
Mm-hmm. Pretty weird, pretty weird.
I mean, being struck by lightning, it happens, but it is rare.
Yeah.
1942 as well, Yoshi Shiratori escapes from a prison that he was transferred to that was a little tougher to escape from through a small barred skylight. He was captured 3 months later.
I think he had dislocated joints to get out of that one. So.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just like he escaped through the skylight. Right. It's very hard to do that when you don't really have tools.
Right. Yeah. And this was like the bottom of a well type situation, not just like a room where you can like jump up and touch the ceiling.
1942, that happened. 1944, Aimo Koivunen.
Oh yeah,
who we referred to as Meth Man in the title, because he took too many meth pills while skiing away from the Soviets who were after him.
They had rationed meth back then to keep them going. You're supposed to take like one or half of one or something like that. I don't remember the exact dosage, but he took like 30. He took just a handful, just grabbed a handful, and they like later counted back and realized that he took way too many. He took doses for multiple people. Skied cross country, through army camps, fought, almost died, traveled miles and miles, like didn't sleep for a while. It was just a crazy ride.
That's a crazy story. I don't know if it's it's not like the the Mad Jack Churchill story, because you're not like wow, this is badass.
No,
wow,
he's just deranged.
It's just kind of like insane like scenarios that he finds himself in out of his mind on meth.
He's the opposite of Mad Jack, where Mad Jack is like cool and getting into trouble and like always surviving the day. Like he like loses his clothes and like is in like freezing temperatures and like hallucinating other people around him and talking and just it's like it's not the things that he does are like super awesome and very weird that they play out. It's just that he just took a ton of meth and then went on this spree.
He impressively survived.
He was,
it was impressive.
It was very
that
impressive he survived.
That same year, 1944, Yoshi Shiratori escaped from a different prison that had stricter restrictions in snowy, icy, frosty conditions.
He had like a personal armed entourage. He was, I think, I don't know if it was this one or but he was one. He was he's surrounded by, but he ended up escaping, and they were like, he'll never survive out in this wilderness with the predators and the cold. And he did.
Yeah.
Until
he eventually returned to society for a little bit, and he was recaptured after getting into an altercation with a farmer because he was taking a tomato, and he stabbed the farmer to death in self-defense.
So he just come down out of the mountain after living he's lived in like an abandoned mine or something. So he decided to try to rejoin society, pass through a garden or a farm, and was very hungry, obviously. Tried to get a tomato. Farmer came out and attacked him. And then although he plucked a tomato, which technically is theft, the farmer just full on attacked him instead of trying to like, hey, what do you want to maybe pay for that or something? No. So then he had to defend himself and ended up killing the guy.
And then the next year, he was recaptured, and the next year he was sentenced to death and put in a specially made
just
cell.
For him, yeah.
And yet he escaped yet again because he dug a tunnel under his cell.
Yep.
And then the next year after that, he's recaptured again.
Yeah.
And he's retried, and his death sentence is revoked.
He's recaptured by turning himself in.
Yes.
Because a policeman was nice to him. And then he just was like broke down and confessed. He had never experienced kindness from the law before.
Yeah. And then he was still sentenced to 20 years in prison at that point. But his death sentence was revoked.
And he got out. Was it like 2014 or 20? It was in the 2000s, I think.
Oh, no. It wasn't.
No,
this was 48 that this happened.
Oh, okay.
So
okay,
yeah.
Oh no, he's lived. He married. Yeah, his wife had died, but he reconnected with his daughter.
Yes, later.
And I think he died in 2014 or something.
Sure. So
I don't know.
So
one of those things.
I have almost nothing for the 50s, by the way. I don't know why, but we didn't cover much of the 50s.
Nothing fun going on there.
No. Fuck the 50s. 1959, the American government arranged the American National Exhibition in Moscow to showcase American ideology, ingenuity, capitalism, that type of stuff. And Pepsi landed a deal where they exchanged vodka for their products. Yeah.
It's the only thing that the Russian government liked. It said everything else, all these other things, color TV and washing machines and stuff like that, they're like, oh, these are just little gizmos and gadgets, and our Russian scientists will have them recreated or done better in the next year. And then tasted Pepsi, and then was like, all right, this is legit. We'll strike a deal with Pepsi.
Yeah.
And their currency is not worth anything, so they had to trade in vodka.
Yeah.
So did that. Set up that contract.
Yeah. Which is funny to even think of the sort of like bartering like that, you know?
Yeah.
With
like how many ounces
products,
of vodka are worth?
But yeah, 1960, Betty Penrose, her house in Phoenix, Arizona, is struck by lightning and destroyed. So that's fucked up for Betty Penrose.
Yeah.
I just introduced her, and the only thing we know about her is in Arizona, her house was destroyed by lightning. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Betty. But
sorry, Betty.
1961, Yoshi is paroled and finally out of prison. So,
woo! Yeah.
That's nice for Yoshi.
Happier ending, except his wife is dead. But
well,
he's out of prison.
You did ruin it. You did end up ruining it, Mystic. Or his wife did by dying. Don't do that.
Right.
Anyway.
Don't die.
If you're listening, don't die.
Yeah.
So, that's 1961. 1962, in a place called Tanganyika, a girl started laughing in a classroom, and it spread to the entire classroom, and then the entire school, and then several villages. And the laughter lasted, on the low end, several hours.
Yeah.
And the high end, many days.
Yeah.
It was a laughter epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
And it was mainly young people that were affected.
Yes.
The theories on why this happened was basically that there was a revolution, a changing of power, and along with that changing of power was the introduction of a new religion and a sort of shunning of the old religion. So there was a bunch of different changes, and there was these young people caught in the mix, not knowing what to do with their feelings, with everything changing.
Their culture is being disrupted, and they don't know what to do.
So their just body reaction just started a chain reaction with a bunch of people.
Somaticization.
I don't even know what you're trying to say.
Psychosomatic.
Okay.
Yeah. That was just, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first story I told.
Yeah.
And I liked it. It's a weird one.
Yeah, it was a very weird one.
But yeah, that's 1962. 1969, Betty Penrose.
Remember her?
Lady with the lightning house.
Mm-hmm. That house was lit.
Yeah. Ning. And her lawyer, Russell T. Tansey, sue God for striking her house with lightning, seeking to get plausible. The deed to a ranch that was recently filed to be given to God. And it almost worked.
Yeah. That was a wild set of events that like led to that story, like different things that play there.
Yeah. There's a whole part of the story that I just cut out about folk
how
singer
God acquired a ranch.
Yeah. Folk singer and a hippie commune, and But yeah, no, it is. I just found it very fascinating. That it went to court and they almost got a house because they sued God. Yeah. Or a ranch, rather.
Or a ranch. It was like ranch. A lot of acres, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Wow. That same year that they sued God and almost just completely won, 1969, Roy Sullivan, the Virginian park ranger, is struck by lightning again.
Man, the 60s were filled with lightning.
Yeah. Totally. 1969, that same year, that's when Captain Beefheart and his magic band put out Trout Mask Replica. Which is insanely abrasive and an incredibly influential album.
It is horrific. And
that's what one of the first spoils of war that I forced Mystic to listen to that album as my victory allowed me to do that is the premise. But yeah, and we both kind of appreciated it, but it was horrific.
Not easy to listen to, but there are things about it that you can appreciate. Like, it's not, well, anyways. Listen to the album and you'll know. Or don't. Say spare yourself.
In the 1970s in general, along with the rise of being aware of serial killers, came the rise of hybristophilia, which is people that sent these serial killers romantic sexual fan mail because they are attracted to people who have done horrible things. That's what hybristophilia is. So yeah, that's when sort of that idea was really like known and thought about a lot. So in 1970, Roy Sullivan is struck by lightning again. 1972.
Three times, right? So far.
Yeah. 1972, Roy Sullivan is struck by lightning again.
That's 4.
1973, Roy Sullivan is struck by lightning again.
That's 5.
And in 1976, a man named Lal Bahari, an Indian man, finds out he is legally considered dead. And begins fighting to become legally considered alive. So he finds out that, hey, you're dead, according to all of our files. You're dead, so you don't get rights that alive people get. Yeah.
It reminds me of Nate Bargatze has a joke about like a birth certificate. He's like, turns out that's a thing that people do. I thought that I was the proof of my birth. But this was, he was like, I'm not dead. And they're like, but your file. And then you think it'd be as simple as that to clear up.
It'd be like, hey, look at my face.
I'm alive.
It's the same face you have there. Nope. Didn't work like that.
That is easy.
So 1976, that same year, Roy Sullivan is struck by lightning again.
I've lost count. I think it's 6.
Yeah. And again, 1976, busy year.
Yeah.
The body of Elmer McCurdy, having been toured around the country on display 66 years after his death, is finally found and buried.
I mean, he outlasted people at that carnival.
It wasn't the same carnival.
Like his, I'm just saying, like the attraction of that, like the fact that his body lasted longer than.
Yeah, he was just passed around, bought and sold, and whatever.
Can you imagine being like willed, like if like you get handed that down, like that's the new family heirloom?
Just a dead body.
Just like, you gotta take care of this when I'm gone. And you're like, all right.
I'll take care of it by putting it under the ground.
In the ground.
What did you say to me?
Put it in the ground. Take care of it. Put it in the ground.
So 1977, Roy Sullivan is struck by lightning again for the last time.
7th and last.
Yeah. So that's Lightning Rod Man. That's who Roy Sullivan is.
Yeah.
Crazy story. Also, just putting it out there, there's some doubts to the validity of these strikes, but if you want to if you want to hear, like, how is there doubts? What is the story? I mean, there's also like, he was in Ripley's believe it or not or whatever, and they test shit. They don't just put anybody in there.
Right, yeah.
So it's, it's contested, but
yeah.
It's an interesting tale.
Yeah, and the different places, different things he was doing, different activities he was involved in while being struck. They're all it's an interesting tale.
So that was 1977, 1980, there's a manufacturing factory in South Carolina, and just these workers in a factory, just the machinery.
Can I say this one? They just really messed up in their job. They're supposed to be making polypropylene film, little plastic sheeting, saran wrap, and couldn't even do that. They had to go and make a force field.
Yeah.
Just the nerve of those guys.
Yeah, should have been fired because that's not what we're making here. They made a force field.
That was not on the document.
On accident. And I don't know how.
And then recreated it the next day. They were like, this was a fluke, and they were like, well, here we go.
And these are not, they're not scientists. They're fucking factory workers.
Yeah, they're over there, and they're in that. They have they had to go to the supervisor. They had to like go, to the little suit there, and was like, something's going on here. And then of course he was like, oh my gosh, you guys are dumb, you're idiots. And then was like, all right, I'll eat my words because you made a force field. Yeah.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah. It's a win for blue collar.
Yeah.
In my book.
So, 1986, Domino's creates their mascot, the Noid.
Woo! The Noid. Which you would naturally associate with pizza?
Yes. The red bodysuit, the red bunny bodysuit of just a guy, and he is the embodiment of all of the predicaments that you get into.
Yeah.
Trying to prevent you from getting a pizza within 30 minutes.
He was the Mayhem character, but for Domino's.
Yeah.
What's that? Is that Progressive or something, or Allstate, whatever? Mayhem.
I don't even know. I don't know.
You've never seen that? The guy in the suit? He's
sure. I don't know. I don't remember what it's for. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
1986, that same year, Dan Rather is assaulted by two men while they shouted, "Kenneth, what's the frequency?" at him. And they get away.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's just weird right there. That could have been the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting into the late 80s, Pepsi renews that deal with the Russians. But this time, instead of vodka, they receive $3 billion worth of battleships, submarines, and other military ships.
Yeah.
In return for Pepsi products. And
what would you do for a Pepsi? That was their slogan.
Nothing. Leading to them having the 6th largest military in the world for a short time.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And again, even just the concept of just bartering for this kind of thing. Like, if you bartered with such small, I assume a large amount of vodka initially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get all that Pepsi for all this vodka. But then
$3 billion worth of Pepsi.
Yeah. But then in this case, it's $3 billion of Pepsi for I don't know, let's say 30 vehicles that are huge.
Oh, no, it was like 6. Yeah, it was not that many.
It was very few.
Maybe it was like 10.
Yeah. It was very few amount of vehicles, but they're incredibly expensive. Giant battleships and stuff, submarines and stuff like that.
Yeah. Missile carriers and all that stuff.
But yeah.
Yeah, this is a joke about they disarmed the Soviet Union better than anybody else, but I just want to, we're not there yet, but I just want to point out that Pepsi And this transaction made $3 billion. Okay?
Yeah.
So if anything ever happens with Pepsi, they got $3 billion. If they're ever involved in anything.
$3 billion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just from this one transaction. Okay.
Absolutely. There's no reason anything would happen to Pepsi. Again, we already told this story about Pepsi. Why would they be brought up again? Anyway, 1988, Mehran Karimi Nassiri, through a series of unfortunate events, found himself forced to live within a French airport, as he allegedly had no home country to return to, and he lost his papers that allowed him to enter the UK, which he was en route to.
Yeah.
So that's a weird situation.
Yeah.
Apparently, several people have gotten into similar scenarios.
Yeah.
It's, it sucks. It's very, just that scenario is like, wow, like when you're sort of in a bureaucratic hell type thing.
Yeah. But I do, so just two notes on that. Is that I will say, with a little spoiler, he could have very easily gotten himself out of the situation.
Yeah, there's more entries.
Okay. Then I will just leave it at that for now.
Yeah. So the next year, after he Mehran Karimi Nassiri gets into that predicament, the next year, a man named Kenneth Lamar Noyd holds 2 Domino's employees hostage at one of their stores and has a standoff, and he's arrested. And I do believe that's the entry for the Noyd. He also is just like, he believes that the television is talking to him, that basically the Noyd character was made to mock him specifically. And he thought, like the head of Domino's was out to get him type thing. So, and the Noyd just kind of stopped being a character that they used.
Yeah, can't
right around that time. And they claim that it had nothing to do with this.
I do want to be sensitive to the fact that he is clearly suffering from some kind of delusion or paranoia, but I still want to point out that he just like went to a random Domino's where they're like making the pizza and delivering the pizza, and they're like, we had nothing. Do you think that we create the marketing? Like, yeah, that's I think it's just the sort of, you just do it to, you just like
to
so
get the
frustrated.
standoff, to make demands. But yeah. So next year, 1990, comedian Gallagher's brother. Comedian Gallagher is a comedian that smashed watermelons famously. His brother begins touring around as Gallagher 2 and doing Gallagher's old act, leading to many a disappointed audience.
Yeah.
There's multiple entries, so we'll move on. 1992, Pepsi Philippines started doing a promotion where numbers on bottle caps means prizes. So, but one day they announced the grand prize winning number, and apparently they had printed, on accident, 800,000 bottle caps with that number. The fallout from this led to protests, riots, violence, and death. And people being mad at Pepsi in the Philippines. Like, their rep went way down.
Yeah. What was the prize total going to be? The giveaway?
The grand prize, like the individual grand prize, if you had won the grand prize, you would get $40,000, basically.
How many times will 40,000 go into 3 billion?
I don't know.
No. Corporate greed.
But yeah, it's a wild story. Pepsi is shitty in the story. Also there's the violence is very strange and crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1994, a man named William Tager tries to get into a television studio in New York and kills someone that was stopping him with an AK-47. He's arrested and confesses to being the man who assaulted Dan Rather 8 years previously. But there aren't really any more answers as to Kenneth. What's the frequency, other than, he, much like Kenneth Lamar Noyd, had some idea in his head that there was some sort of frequency the TV was broadcasting that was out to get him, or he was, it was messing with him.
Yeah.
In 94, that is when Lal Bahari, after many public stunts and protests, and forming the Association of the Dead, he's finally declared legally alive by the Indian government.
Isn't it great when you're alive and you're not dead?
So yeah, that's about 20 years-ish.
Yeah.
That he's legally dead.
That's crazy.
So
you can't do anything.
You can't. Yeah,
you gotta work under the table.
Requires official things, it's
travel, jobs, literally anything else.
Yeah, and people get lost in the mix like that due to stupid errors.
Yeah,
I mean, in this case, it wasn't a stupid error; it was a bribe. But yeah. 1994, also same year that he gets declared legally alive. Unfortunately, a California woman named Gloria Ramirez is rushed to the hospital, and when nurses and others tried to help her, they suffered various maladies. Some fainted, some were hospitalized themselves. The press labeled her the toxic lady. But it might have actually been the hospital or the county's fault for the toxic reactions around her.
Yeah.
Very complex story.
It's a very wild
very
one.
Odd. But yeah.
Yeah.
So we're hitting the mid-90s. We're getting there, folks. Mid-90s, a drug called jenkem becomes very popular among street children of Zambia.
I didn't realize this was in the 90s. I mean, I'm sure you said that in the episode, but I forgot about when it was. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was mid-90s.
Yeah.
The drug is a hallucinogen made from fermented human waste. Basically, you'd have a jar, you'd put sewage in it, you'd let it ferment in the sun for a while, and you'd huff that shit, and you would see things.
I want to just emphasize the fact that, believe it or not, this was not my story.
No.
I love it, though.
Yeah. You've been doing jenkem ever since.
I have. Been making some of my own, trying to sell it on Etsy, keep getting my shop shut down, figuring out what that's about, but whatever.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Do Christmas gifts. Contact me.
Yeah.
Or Christmas is over, but just next year, birthdays, New Year's gifts.
Wait till next
a wild New Year's. Yeah.
Wait till next episode when your poo poo pee pee hour begins.
Yeah.
1995 though. Sorry, I'm busting through because I got to get through this.
Yeah, you're good.
It's a long episode.
You're good.
So Meron Karimi Nasiri, who went by Sir Alfred at this point, had gotten a lot of press and was somewhat of a celebrity for his novel situation. He was offered residency in Belgium and France, which he refused for various minute, odd, pedantic reasons.
Yeah. Pretty much he just didn't want to accept it.
Yeah.
He was gaining some celebrity status.
Yeah. Very odd sitch. In 97, a comedian named Nasubi wins his own reality show. that turned out to be one where he was naked, stuck in a studio apartment, and forced to enter magazine sweepstakes for 15 months. And some of the things that he would enter sweepstakes for was food, because that wasn't provided for him. So...
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good prize.
Good prize. You get to eat.
But it was live streamed in 97. That's still crazy to me. The whole time. Like, they do that these days with Big Brother, I think. Where, like, the whole time it's live streamed on a website. And it's like, I get it. Maybe you pay a premium or something.
Yeah.
I never watched it. I never watched the show, let alone a live stream. But yeah, to think that there was a constant live stream like that in 1997. And yeah, the show was huge in Japan, but incredibly messed up. Anyway, 1997, that same year, guess what came out? Double Team.
Woo!
Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman co-starred as it's like a buddy cop type thing. Buddy counter-terrorist unit type thing. And it's not very good. But Dennis Rodman isn't the worst actor in it, so that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you have anything to say about Double Team?
No, it was quite a movie. Quite a movie.
Yeah. Quite a film.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I forgot to mention 1989 was when Killer Clowns from Outer Space came out.
Also quite a movie.
Quite
Actually,
a
I did really enjoy that
beautiful
movie.
film.
Like I did, yeah, that was a good movie.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a fun, yeah.
So 1999 comes around though, and comedian Gallagher sues his brother Ron Gallagher for stealing his act. Finally, eventually winning the lawsuit and forbidding his brother from doing his act. Whole situation is very weird.
Yeah.
And like also like he kind of like gave the okay initially, or gave Ron Gallagher the idea to do his old act. Very, very odd, strange man, that Gallagher.
Just real quick, want to add in, like, I'm not a big Gallagher fan. So like I think about like if someone was like dragged to the Gallagher 2 act on a date and they like show up and you're like, oh my gosh, you're gonna see Gallagher, and then it's like, it's Gallagher. It's not even Gallagher. It's Gallagher 2. It's his brother, and then he's doing Gallagher's old act. It's not even new material. You're just like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's a blind drawing of a photocopy of a photocopy, type thing. But 2003 comes around, and that's when DreamWorks paid $250,000 to Sir Alfred for the rights to his life story, which they did not use much of in their movie, The Terminal, but it was probably just vaguely inspired.
Yeah. They claim to have not, it's not based off of that, despite paying him money. So it's weird. That was Spielberg, I think, was involved with that. Yeah. Yeah,
Spielberg is, I believe DreamWorks is just owned by Spielberg. So 2005 is the corrupted blood incident happened.
Yeah.
Which, if you want to take that.
So World of Warcraft released an expansion, it's a video game, popular multiplayer video game, and there was a glitch in the system that led to thousands of characters being killed. I mean, you can still revive, but it spread throughout cities, and it just, anyway, so it's a whole big thing, and then the respawn time increases, and so the game was disrupted. They ended up having to reset the servers, and it was a very weird thing, you can look up screenshots and stuff from it in people's personal accounts, but very interestingly, it became a great study for epidemiologists to be able to look at spread and contagion and the economy and how, you think about COVID, like how people would end up spreading it because they had to go make money in the game, so they would go to like the market and so even if people were like out of cities and safe, they would go to work. It was just a whole big thing. Shows about interaction of infection and economy, and it was studied and taught like in college courses, this video game scenario.
Yeah, that was just a glitch and an accident. It's very odd. 2006, the next year after that, Sir Alfred, aka the Terminal Man himself,
as
was
opposed
hospitalized
to
and
Toxic Lady. I think like terminal sounds like illness, but this was the airport.
Yes, he was hospitalized, and ever since, as far as I know, he's lived outside of the airport. That was the end of that time in his life. 2010s in general, something at least began to be noticed, that individuals believed that they were being stalked by large groups of people, calling it gang stalking, and referring to themselves as targeted individuals for various reasons, and they joined online communities to comfort one another and sort of prop up one another's delusions. Yeah, just sort of a sort of scary, like, life to be living, where you think, like, somebody just, like, looks at you as they cross the street in front of your car or whatever, and you're like, I know that's one of them. That's one of those fucking people watching me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just a scary life, and people having communities that sort of egg on each other's delusions. It's sad.
I was just thinking how delusion is a trend in some of these stories. And then I also...
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even like the Terminal Man, that was he sort of like had some, and Norton. That's what I was thinking. That's the other note I meant to say is like I feel like there was a lot of parallels between Emperor Norton and Terminal Man. They both kind of like yeah. Anyways,
took on a persona and committed to it.
Got famous because of it.
Absolutely. And also in the 2010s, semi-similar, groups on Tumblr that called themselves Columbiners, they fangirl over the two school shooters from Columbine, many having their own like digital shrine to one or both of them, while communing with the rest of them with their fawning fandom over these two individuals. But yeah, that happened. That's an example of the hybristophilia. 2012, that is the year in which it was published that they found out that the radiation... Why don't you take this? The accidental force fields, part 2.
Yeah, so they had the accidental force field in the 80s, 1980s or something, and then 2012, a shuttle robot rover type thing was going to explore the Van Belt. What is the Van? Okay, hold on. Force field.
Van Wilder.
No. Who is
That's
that?
a movie starring Ryan Reynolds.
The Van Allen belts, which are radiation belts around Earth, and found out that these radio waves, very old-fashioned technology that's still used for submarines and communication, are being projected off of Earth and creating a force field around Earth that keeps radiation at bay. So it's protecting us from like solar storms and protecting the satellites and space stations and stuff. And so now they're like, well, how can we use this to keep us safe from the sun when it gets angry?
Yeah. And that was all just a whoopsie because we made certain technologies.
Yeah. Technology made 50 years ago, 60 years ago, whatever, is being used, and then they're like, "Oh, look, this is cool." What is technology now doing? Who knows?
I mean, we as humans have been driving the opposite direction so hard for so long that it's just like, oh, we accidentally did something good.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Like you think about like emissions and stuff. It was like as a byproduct of everything, and we're like, yeah, we're ruining the world, but like, we're helping the universe. So
yeah. we're spilling a whole lot of oil into the ocean, but we cleaned up this ounce. Anyway, so
that's 2012.
It was 2012, and in 2013, Tim Heidecker releases Urinal Street Station by the Yellow River Boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's an album of Southern blues-style rock that's entirely about drinking piss.
Hot piss on the tip of my lips. It's a hit track. Yep.
Yeah. That's
one song on there about diarrhea. Don't want to forget that.
There is the worst song on there is about diarrhea.
Yeah.
But
he's a really talented musician, and just had fun with this album. He does do like some serious albums and stuff because, like I said, he is actually a great musician. But he's just like, if you play this in the background, you wouldn't even know it's about piss. Like, it actually just sounds like listenable music.
If you focused on it, then
very
he
inappropriate
is shouting hot piss.
Yeah.
Don't play. Maybe play that if you had a New Year's Eve party. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next year.
But don't have a party this year.
Don't have a party. But 2014 is when former Blink-182 singer Tom DeLonge creates a company called To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences that later gets the U.S. government to release several images and videos of UFOs, and is as reputable as UFO research gets this To the Stars company.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like conspiracy theorist stuff. I mean, kind of is, but like sounds like hack, like just crazy talk, but very respectable research. And very highly credentialed researchers working at this company. Check out the episode.
Yeah, a bunch of former government employees that worked in the Pentagon, that worked in, like, they had a department for this.
They were like, we did this for the government, and then now we're doing it for private sector stuff.
Yeah. So, very odd.
Yeah.
And of course, very odd that Tom DeLonge is like...
Yeah, weird origin story for this
for
this company. Like weird that it happens. Definitely weird that it was a punk rock singer that did it.
Yeah, quote unquote punk.
Quote unquote. I mean, not the Australian government wouldn't go to war on him, but
no. I mean, maybe emo.
Maybe.
Yeah. Voice inside my head.
Yeah.
2014. That same year is. That same year that Tom DeLonge created that company is when Maya Ben David posts her first YouTube video, which was fairly normal, but eventually leads her to post videos of herself as an anthropomorphic plane, short films that are insane fever dreams, and herself singing John Denver songs to her apartment's insulation.
Yeah, very odd YouTube channel.
Also vlogged from the perspective of PewDiePie's chair.
Yeah. She's seems to be a talented film student because of like her edits and stuff like that. But she uses like just really like clip art type stuff. I mean, Yeah, it seems like another Tim Heidecker situation where it's like you have someone with skill and talent, and they're just like, I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah,
be silly.
She's a performance artist, and she leans comedy, I think.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
So 2016, 2 years later, the New York Times estimated that there were more than 10,000 people who self-identified as targeted individuals or victims of gang stalking,
Mm-hmm.
where we already went over that. So that in 2016, there's like 10,000 people who self-identified as that. So 2017 is when Yvette Henley, a 4-year-old girl, was kidnapped by her own father. And that kidnapping was largely, quote unquote, solved by a Facebook friend of her father's offering to send him pizza at his current location, which was a location in which he kidnapped his daughter.
Yeah. So it was like basically, this person like catfished him into giving up his location, and save the kid.
Yeah. And that is the history of our weird world.
That is, it's what can you say? Spanned from 8th century BC to 2017. So many weird things happened. Can't wait to see what weird stuff 2021 brings. 2020, that's never gonna be mentioned. But 2021, look forward to very fun weird things happening.
Very good. Very great weird things.
Yeah.
But this was fun. I because I was, going over this and making sure I was doing all this, I don't know how listenable this episode is. I have no idea if it was fascinating or I don't know the quality of this episode.
Yeah, there's some technical issues that happen. So, Broomy is the one that edits this, and I feel bad for that. But hopefully, But
I hope everybody enjoyed it.
I enjoyed this.
I mean,
this was very
I enjoyed
fun
it
to
too.
recap, and his memories brought up. Good times.
Going down memory lane. I love doing the show. It's very, very fun time. I appreciate that anybody listens. Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for being a great co-host.
Thank you for
Mystic.
This was your brainchild. So thanks for including me in this, and look forward to more episodes. Already got some great stuff to share.
Yeah, and we will do that. We will see you on the next one.